If you have ever wondered, how did South Korea go from this to this in the 21st century? Oh boy, this will sure go a long ride. Although, I cannot give you a full complex reason as to why South Korea would be headed for a possible collapse, but I can give some factors and hints that may just be the beginning of its collapse. For its history, South Korea went into a huge transformation from being a war-torn nation from the Korean War to this beautiful K-pop Samsung-loving nation we now know today, South Korea. Before we start this video today, it would be great to click the subscribe button and comment down your ideas for our next video. Now let's move on. Number 1. South Korea's changing demographics. I guess this might just be the most obvious one. South Korea is by far one of the countries with the lowest fertility rates out there, along with Taiwan and Japan. In the year 2024 alone, South Korea hit a record low of 0.7 babies per woman. That is literally an obvious sign that a nation would be headed for extinction. I mean, with these low fertility rates, South Korea is headed into losing its population sooner, and there sure are a whole lot of risk if that were to happen. First, South Korea's military heavily relies on its young population, with many of its soldiers being conscripts from their mandatory military service ranging from the ages of 18 to 35. In comparison, North Korea's annual population growth is 3 times higher to that of South Korea at 0.3%, compared to 0.1% from South Korea. This means that if South Korea's population is to continue to follow this path, we might see 5 North Korean soldiers to 1, and I am serious about it. Even today, North Korea amasses a total of 1.3 million active troops, compared to South Korea's 500,000 active troops. Although, North Korea mostly has dated Soviet-era weapons compared to South Korea's more modern arsenal. In addition to military hazards, a low fertility rate also means a higher chance of economic instability, as seen with Japan, wherein their GDP is literally going up and down and up and down and up ever since the Asian financial crisis. Although, population isn't the entire reason, but it is a factor that kept Japan from growing its economy. Without people means no buyers, and without buyers means goods won't do well domestically, making small businesses bankrupt due to loss of sales. Recently, South Korea passed new laws to promote families to make babies in the hopes of increasing the birth rate, and it has seen some successes with recent data. For the first time and on January 2025, South Korea birth rate rose by 11.6% with 23,947 babies born, which is higher than the 2024 statistics. This shows that South Korea is slowly improving in terms of baby policies, but it might just not be enough to hit 1 or even 2 babies per woman in the coming years. Now, let's move on to the second factor. Number 2, South Korea's political crisis. Recently, the ex-Korean president just launched martial law, which was never been used since 1979 under this guy Park Chung-hee. The act reflects on South Korea's fragility, in which the government, or if we go more deeper, the chaebols have more control on South Korean politics than ever. To begin with, South Korea's GDP is mainly run by these 4 companies, namely Samsung, LG, Hyundai, and SK Group, which combined takes into account a total of 40% of its GDP, with Samsung alone holding a majority of its GDP with about 17% share on 2019 alone. South Korean society, and to more extent its economic miracle, is not possible without the presence of these big-time chaebols. During South Korea's development, its government exempted these companies, which are mostly family-owned by the way, from taxes and were given incentives to invest in their business. Although, this made a lot of changes to its economy and making South Korea a global manufacturing hub. These companies also did a huge effect on Korean work culture and politics, with many allegations such as bribery and unfair business practices affecting mostly working-class Koreans. Despite this, South Korea is a growing economy, although at a slower rate with an forecasted growth of about 0.8% this 2025. Now let's move on to the third factor. Number 3, South Korean culture. If you are a student right now in South Korea, chances are you are highly stressed out and depressed. South Korea's education system is by far the biggest hellhole that has ever existed. Students would literally spend 16 hours of their day studying on normal schools, then night schools called hagwons just to catch up with the constant advancing lessons. And if you think that was hell, wait till you meet the Sonong exams. That's right. South Korea has by far one of the most competitive academic systems out there, which is a common trait seen to most Asian countries. To have, such as in China, with both countries taking their exams as if it were a matter of life and death. And when these students graduate, they are met with high expectations to become successful individuals, which is almost impossible with the current state of South Korean economy. Some of the issues are the sky-high housing prices, crushing student debt, and a hyper-competitive job market. This system is also the reason to South Korea ranking of one of the highest kick-the-bucket rates among the OECD nations and the highest rate of the population experiencing depression and anxiety. To add more to this, South Korea also has the highest beauty standard in the world, and many South Koreans resorting to plastic surgery in order for them to look like their favorite K-pop idol. Now, let's move on to our last factor, which is number 4, South Korea's geopolitical struggle. This may just be by far the most realistic reason for South Korea's collapse, and let me explain. South Korea is placed on a geopolitical chessboard, stuck in the middle between China and the US and North Korea, of course, from its north. The North has constantly been testing out their missiles, which is a huge risk to South Korea's defense. To grasp this is Seoul, which is the capital of South Korea, home to around 9 million people. And this is the distance between from the border at their north, which makes Seoul and neighboring cities prime targets for artillery strikes and possible invasions by North Korean soldiers, which would devastate these cities. This has already been seen during the Korean War, with Seoul easily captured by the North due to its proximity to the border, and it was heavily devastated due to the constant urban fighting and bombings. Today, World War III is coming to a close with North Korea and China and even Japan starting to rearm in the case if China invades Taiwan, which is a really high possibility today. If that were to happen, South Korea would be the prime target of missile and drone attacks, especially with it having dozens of US bases on its soil, which increases the risk of military strikes at these targets. Now, to answer the question, is South Korea headed for collapse? The short answer is probably yes. With these factors playing out in its nation, South Korea might just be headed for collapse sooner or later. Before this video ends, I would like to thank you for watching until the end, and perhaps click the subscribe button and comment down your ideas for our next video. See you, Klimis fans.